Good morning, everyone. Thank you for stopping by the channel, and let me get the necessary verbiage out of the way. Don't forget to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and please don't forget to share this with your bestest buddy. And also, if you're still looking for a source of revolver wads, well, please take a moment or two to visit our Etsy store, Lame Beaver Trading Company. And also to get something else out of the way that just might be a little obvious. Yes, it's the first week of July and I'm in a flannel shirt. And it's not because it's cold here in New Mexico, it's because for whatever reason that I cannot figure out, and if you know, please tell me how these blood-sucking, fornicating mosquitoes can survive without water. Yes, it's green, but we haven't had any measurable rain in about 12 days, so these fornicating little things should be gone by now, but they are not. So that's the reason why I have the flannel shirt on and long pants right now. What I want to do is just give another quick introduction. Yeah, I know me, I just can't be quick. But from my last video, I decided that I was going to test another homemade black powder in this video right here. And you'll see what was recorded and the reason why right now. I think you can readily tell that there's two different shades of green between what is alligator bark juniper and shaggy bark juniper. The alligator juniper is lighter in color, which is the tree on the right, and the shaggy bark juniper, which is a darker green, is on the left. So let me get you a close-up of a much bigger alligator juniper so you can really see the difference and the reason why I'm now wanting to test these two varieties of juniper in gunpowder. Okay, as you can tell, there's a reason why they call this alligator bark juniper, because the bark definitely looks like the scales or the skin on an alligator. And as you can tell, this particular alligator juniper is a pretty old tree. So let me get to a shaggy bark and you'll be able to see the difference. Okay, and this is what we call shaggy bark juniper. Unlike the alligator bark, this obviously is shaggy. And for those of us that like to do mountain man rendezvous, we quite often use the shaggy bark on this particular juniper to make our nests in starting of fires. But ultimately, what we want to see is, of the two varieties of junipers, is there one more dense than the other? Well, here we go. There's the two varieties of juniper side by side. The charcoal on the right is the shaggy bark juniper, and the charcoal on the left would obviously be the alligator bark. And if your eye can discern, the alligator bark juniper is a little less dense than the shaggy bark. Not really a whole lot of difference if you were to ask me in an argument, but ultimately the test is, of the two varieties, does one burn cleaner than the other? And that's what we're about to find out. Yes, that's correct. I actually have two varieties of juniper on this property, and I thought that I would just run that test, that experiment at the same time. And what I did off camera is I went ahead and set my powder measure at 70 grains, just so that everything is on an equal basis. I filled this powder measure up with 70 grains of goex 3F. Then I put it on my RCBS scale and weighed it, and I got 70 grains. I had to add a little bit more flakes, but I got it at 70 grains. Put it back in the measurer, and that's the measurement I'm going to be using in this test. Now, just so that we can kind of get a baseline, what I have here is what I actually measured on my RCBS scale. And as stated, 70 grains of 3F. So I went to my Elephant 2F in this measurer, and once again it measured 79 grains. Then I did my Barberry, which I would consider 2F. It weighed 67 grains in this measurer. Then I went to the Juniper Shaggy bark, and it weighed 64 grains. And then I went to the Alligator bark Juniper, and it actually weighed 58, which I would expect to have seen that type of result, because if you watch the video, the Alligator Juniper is lighter by volume than what the Shaggy bark is. But once again, my ultimate goal, or my ultimate what I'm trying to achieve, I guess you should say, is which one of these three powders actually does burn cleaner. But we know from the previous video, the Barberry burns a little bit dirty, but if you can achieve the same measurement as goex and still be a little dirty, then I don't know what the trade-off's really going to be. And just to let you know, I'm going to run 3 shots with the goex 3F with the Magnum caps, and I'm going to establish a pattern on the paper, and you will see what I accomplished right here. Okay, there's my 3 shots with 70 grains of 3F goex. So this will kind of establish a little bit of a baseline. And it appears to me, before I go to the rendezvous, I might have to move my front sight just a touch, because I did have my sights buried right into the center of the bullseye, the red dot. So I'll try to get the camera moved so you can see the gun go off, and then the same thing, I'll focus in on the target, and we'll just see what the test results end up being. Okay, so just to establish something else, I took my 3 shots, 3F goex. This was my first cleaning patch. Okay, all I did was just wet it with water and run it down the barrel, brought it up. This is patch number 2, folded in half. And then this was patch number 3, also folded in half. So now we have something that we can measure how clean or how much more dirty burning these gunpowders are. Okay, 2F Barberry with my homemade percussion cap. Let's see what happens. Pretty good. Should also note, .530 home cast round ball with a 15 thousandths spit patch. Alright, shot number 3. I will note right here, my percussion caps are not going on as well as the factory cap. And obviously that's because they're aluminum and not copper. But we'll see what happens on the third shot here. Obviously, a hang fire on that one. Let me go pull the target and we'll see what we got. And I'm also going to try to pick up the spent patches to see if there's really any discernible difference between the 3F goex and the Barberry, since the last test we kind of determined Barberry was a little dirty. But let me get this set up and we'll see where we're at. Okay, there's the target with the Barberry. Obviously, the group tightened up. But, like last time, there's the first cleaning patch. Dirty. There's the second cleaning patch. Dirty. And there's the third cleaning patch. Dirty. But I did find two patches that can distinguish what would be the goex. That's fairly clean. Another patch, fairly clean. But here's the Barberry patches. Pretty dirty. Orient it right. Pretty dirty. Okay, so now that that's established, let's go ahead and try the Junipers, and we'll see what we got going on there. This time around, it'll be the Shaggy bark Juniper. And I did go back to my Magnum caps. Okay, I spilled just a little bit of powder, so if this charge or this bullet doesn't hit close to the impact side of the previous two, that's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. Well, those shots look pretty good from here, but let me go reset and swab the barrel and we'll see what we have. Okay, here's the Shaggy bark Juniper. Not really much difference in the impact point. I would say that it's right on par. I did find two of the spent patches. I don't know how well the camera can pick any of this up, but they're not really all that dirty compared to the Barberry. Here's the second patch. Not that bad. Now the cleaning patches. This is patch number 1. Some people might consider that dirty. I probably would too, compared to the goex. That's patch number 1. That's patch number 2. And this is patch number 3. Patch number 3, I actually had this one folded in half. So I've got it open right now as I drop it to the ground. So anyhow, let me get reset up, do the last 3 rounds with the Alligator bark Juniper, and we'll see what we have at that point. Okay, I've switched back to my homemade caps. This is Alligator bark Juniper. Okay, from here I can see that that first shot went a little bit high. So what I've done is I went ahead and put the Magnum cap on top of this charge, and I'm going to see if it just changes the point of impact. Okay, from here it actually looks like both bullets are cutting each other. So let me get reloaded up. We'll take the third and final shot, run the patches, and then I'll wrap everything up. For the third and final shot, I'm switching back to my homemade percussion caps. Before I run up there, I don't know how well the camera is picking any of the report of the rifle is, but it sounds to me with my earplugs in that it's right on par with what a factory black powder would be, but you guys judge that for yourself. So let me go pull the target, swab the gun, and like I said before, I'll wrap everything up. Okay guys, that's it. All three bullets are touching, and this is the Alligator bark Juniper. With that being stated, I'm real curious because I've picked up, the previous patches, and none of these patches, well, I should say torn to shreds. And as long as I've had this rifle and as much as I've shot it at all the rendezvous that I've been at, I've never seen my patches burn through and disintegrated like these are with that Alligator bark Juniper. That would indicate to me that it's a very hot burning powder, wouldn't it? That's where my mind leads me, because like I've said, I've never seen my patches burn through like this, which would indicate a hot patch. Now for the cleaning patches. Number one, I don't know how well the camera's picking any of this up right here, but that's number one. That's number two. And then this one is number three. So by the time you get the third patch through, it's fairly clean. But what I'm going to do is I've kept the first cleaning patch with each target. So I'm going to get reset up and we'll do a line by line display of the target with the first cleaning patch, and then you guys be the judge for yourself. I think I know where my mind is at. It's either going to be the Alligator bark Juniper or the Shaggy bark Juniper, and hell, I might even mix the two. So let me get reset up and we'll just show you those targets with the first cleaning patch right next to them. Okay, this was the 3F goex. I kind of set the bar with that as far as the weight is concerned. As you can see by the patch, it's not too terribly dirty, but the grouping, I guess some people would consider that respectable. But when I pan over to the other three targets, you just might want to contradict that. Here was the second target. This was the Barberry. Again, all three bullets are just about touching, and you can look at the patch itself and see that it's fairly dirty. But if you're going to be on the shooting range, what would you rather have? A group like that or a group that the goex presented. Well, my money's on the Barberry. Let me pan over to the Shaggy bark Juniper, and once again I got 2 bullets just about touching. And the cleaning patch, you know, some people would consider that dirty. Compared to the goex, it's pretty dirty, yes. And then last but not least, the Alligator bark Juniper, and all 3 bullets are touching. There's the cleaning patch, but as I showed earlier, the Alligator bark Juniper burnt through the patching, and I've never had that happen. So what I'm going to probably do is just off camera on another day, cut the charge back to maybe 50 grains, run 3 shots and see if the patches are burning then. If the patches are clean and not burnt through, tore up, I'll bump it back up to 70 and then rerun that experiment. But all in all, it looks like the Barberry and the Juniper Alligator bark seem to be fairly consistent with the pressures. I really wouldn't balk at the Shaggy bark Juniper as far as that's concerned, but like I've said in the past, since I do not have a chronometer, I really don't know what these gunpowders are achieving, you know, as your feet per second, and what the variations might be. So friends, thanks very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share it with your bestest buddy. Just a quick note, I have a couple more shooting videos I want to get done. I never did go back and re-sight in my 1860 Army. I do have a new front sight that I built for that, and on that pistol. And as far as the plunger's concerned, I actually filled it with some JB weld just to kind of see if that's going to resolve the issue. So you have some things to look forward to in the near future. Once again, friends, thanks so much for watching. And, well, as the mountain man would say, keep your powder dry and watch your top knot. Bye.